Welcome everyone. So we're gonna continue the data conversation a little bit more. And this time around, we're gonna focus a little bit more on like data analytics in this new multi-chain world. So as just to get things started, how about we just go around the screen and you guys give me a quick intro, like 30 seconds to a minute about who you are and what you're currently working on. We can start with Ambre. Ambre.
Great, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Ambre. I'm the CEO of Kaiko, and Kaiko is a market data provider in the crypto space. We cover all crypto exchanges, including centralized and decentralized exchanges from a financial data standpoint, meaning order books, liquidity pools, trades, any kind of financial data. So that's what we do. We're headquartered in Paris with offices in New York and London.
Eyal, you want to take the next one?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Eyal. I'm founder of DeepDAO. And what we concentrate on is information about DAOs and governance. And we're greedy in what we collect. We collect on-chain data for all the platforms on Ethereum right now, the major platforms, and Substrate. We intend to expand into other chains. So we collect voters, proposals, votes, treasuries, what comes in, what comes out. And we also collect off-chain data. So we collect discourse data and a bunch of other things. And we do it for DAOs and for people, because we think that actually the ecosystem for governance is a mesh of organizations and people in organizations.
Hey, so I'm Alexander Makit. I built DefiLlama, which is just a TVL tracker, multi-chain TVL tracker.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that introduction. And as all of you guys have been hearing lately, this new crypto industry is generating vast amounts of data. And I wanted to spend a little bit more time talking about the data sets that each one of you creates, because each one of your products provides a different kind of data vertical for researchers and consumers in general. So how about we just talk about a little bit more about why you focus on that specific data vertical, and also some of the integrations that you see in the future in that specific vertical as well. Eyal, you want to take that one first?
Sure. So the reason that I'm sorry about my camera going blurry. It happens all the time. It's not the CIA. The reason why we focus on data is that I think that governance is pretty amazing, and that we're in a time of experimentation that was never known in history. People can just start a DAO and start experiment with different kind of votes and voting and how they do things and how they coordinate. And so the goal when I first started and joined the DAO, I really was interested in seeing what's going behind the scenes. Because what do you do in a DAO? You join a chat channel, and you start hanging out with people, and then there's some proposals going on and some votes and some voting, and money goes from the DAO to people, and maybe money goes into the DAO, and that's all great. But I really wanted to understand the data in a more detailed way. So how many proposals does the DAO have in a month? How many voters are participating in these proposals? Who's voting with whom? We know that this is a political game, so you want to see coalitions. I've been in a few political situations in my past, and I know that you have groups of people that are friendly with each other, and they vote together. So I want to know who are these people that are voting together, and who are the people that are voting against them. And what is in detail the power structure of the DAO? And we're talking about decentralization, and I think the DAOs are an amazing step towards decentralization. And I think that transparency is one of the reasons that this is such a big step. And it was really important for me to actually come through on this transparency, so that not only a developer that can go into Ethereum and read the data and parse the events and read the logs and get all the information, these people can get the data, but I wanted everybody to get them. So for that, you need to actually go there and get the actual information and start aggregating it and making it visual and transparent to everyone.
Ambre, anything to add in there?
Yeah, I mean, so we're focusing on an entirely different type of data, which is market data, as in what is the actual market structure and price discovery around different crypto assets. For example, Bitcoin dollar, like the simple question, what is the price of Bitcoin, is actually non-trivial because crypto trades 24/7 across a flurry of exchanges, and every specific trading venue will have its own market structure, its own market participants, and its own price discovery. So obviously the prices are very correlated, but the price of Bitcoin against dollar on Coinbase is not the same as the price of Bitcoin dollar on Kraken. And it's also not the same as the price of Bitcoin dollar into kind of converted into euros or whatever currency you actually need to obtain your price into. So this is a different type of data, which also has different kinds of implications. What I'm really interested in is when we think about building financial applications and kind of building any kind of contracts that represents a financial contract on chain, the question of data, the question of price, and the settlement price for any kind of financial contract is going to be very much inherently tied to the actual data input. And that is the part that we're focusing on, is not just what is the price of different crypto instruments around exchanges, but also how do we provide any kind of data on chain in order to make sure that there is a reliable source of financial data that can be used then for the execution of financial contracts. Today, most of the instruments, or most of the crypto instruments, are still very much crypto assets. But if we kind of fast forward into a world of DeFi and security token, the question of data is going to be as critical as it is today in traditional capital markets. And it's, as we know, a very important problem.
0x and GMI, what about you, man?
I feel like for us, it's pretty different because the data that we provide is already like visible, like platforms already usually calculate their own TVL. And it's not something that needs to be surfaced, or we don't also like deal with oracles. And for us, it's more about like curation and just providing like transparent metrics and aggregation, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the things that, you know, I'm assuming when you're building these data sets, given the nascency of the space, there must be a lot of challenges to get this data, right? Like, it's not going to be just as simple as just grabbing it and displaying it in some like nice UI. So could you guys tell us a little bit more about what are some of the challenges that you see when it comes to like analyzing, integrating, and then displaying this information for end users? Ambre, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, absolutely. So here it's really about kind of building a robust, reliable infrastructure that enables the real-time collection of data for thousands, actually hundreds of thousands now of instruments globally, getting this data, collecting it in real time, standardizing it, making it kind of treated in a way that is easy to consume, storing it in a database, replicating that database across multiple geographies so that you have redundancy, and then exposing this kind of raw, clean, accessible data to end users. So that's what we do. It's really about the infrastructure around market data and making it accessible to users, investors, regulators, researchers, anyone kind of out there who needs to understand the space, both historically and also ongoing in real time.
0x and GMI, what about you?
Yeah, so for us, it's mainly like two different problems. One is like getting consensus around what is TVL, what is not TVL. And since there's like, you see the like different definitions among communities, like for example, on Ethereum and on Binance Chain, there's usually like some differences. As in like in Binance Chain, like staking TVL usually considered part of core TVL, and Ethereum, it's usually not. And the other main challenge is technical, when we essentially like rely on a lot of like different infrastructure for like multiple chains. I think right now we have like maybe like 40 chains, so there's like, we need nodes for each one of these chains. And these are not super reliable. So we have to like build a lot with failure resistance, like this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Eyal, what are some challenges to getting some of that DAO data?
So for us, the biggest challenge I think is that governance right now is a moving target. One day there is one platform that is ruling the world and everybody wants to put their DAOs there. And then the next day there is another tool or another voting system or another anything that all of a sudden all the DAOs are moving there. But I mean, not all the DAOs, some of the DAOs. So you really need to chase the ecosystem and really find the new tools and integrate them. Now, the second challenge is really, like Ambre was saying, normalizing everything and standardizing everything. It's really difficult to take all the experimentation that is going on. You know, Aragon is doing things different than DAO House, and DAO House is doing things different than Snapshot. And if you combine Snapshot and Gnosis Safe, all of a sudden you have a different combination. And then you add substrate organizations like Kusama and Polkadot, and all of a sudden things are completely different there. And 3 DAOs are making one big DAO. So modeling the governance ecosystem is a really huge challenge, and really it's a fun challenge because it's fascinating to us. It's how humans behave in this entire world of blockchain DAOs. It's really an interesting challenge.
I like that you touched upon the question of like standardization. I think this is a critical piece of the data problem, not just in crypto, actually in every industry, but also in crypto, and one that we tend to underestimate. Sometimes we give a lot of value to data, but it's a bit, the problem with data is that it's a bit garbage in, garbage out. Like if you add a lot of intelligence on untreated data or kind of gappy data or whatever, the intelligence you're going to get out of it is going to be pretty much useless. And if you talk to any data scientist or any person who analyzes large sets of data, the biggest problem is data cleansing and getting your hands on clean, whole data inputs, and that is a part of the problem that shouldn't be underestimated, especially in a world where everything is being built and we definitely lack standards around how do we communicate data, how do we display data, how do we, there's a lot of things that are yet to be modeled on financial data on chain.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I totally.
Go ahead.
I totally agree with that. It's really one of the biggest challenges, again, is how to distill all this data to something that is meaningful and that your users are actually what they want to consume, to read, to understand. This is a real challenge.
Yeah, I think that's a
I think
perfect. Sorry again.
No, go ahead. So, sorry.
I think that is a perfect segue to my following question, because at least in this industry, you see there's 2 major buckets of data consumers. You have applications as well as users. And users can be here data scientists, researchers, like individual people that are just analyzing this information. So how do you go about building a product that caters both users, or are you focused on one specific user for your application? 0x and GMI, how about you take that one first?
Yeah, so for us, we're very focused on like the user, like normal users, I guess retail. we do also mostly because that's the user I most interact with. So I end up building the things that they request. And we do also have a few funds and stuff building with our data, but they just directly use our data and we just don't know about it. So yeah, I guess we're more focused towards that.
How about you, Ambre?
Yeah, so we're focusing mostly on a B2B audience. So we only work with, so we're on the kind of opposite side of the spectrum, working with institutions, banks, asset managers, custodians, regulators, researchers, etc. And we mostly cater for that segment of the industry. It was a conscious decision early in the early years of Kaiko, which honestly was hard because back in 2014 when we started the company, there was literally no B2B segment of the industry. It was a very, very retail-driven space. However, in the past couple of years, notably during the second half of 2020, we've seen a flurry of institution kind of come to market, and I believe it's a very interesting, segment to focus on, just because those are the ones that have a lot of liabilities in terms of the source of data, and the reliability of data is key because there's actually money at stake, and relatively generally regulated institutions working on crypto.
Yeah, totally. And we're very, very happy customers. So keep doing what you're doing. How about you, Eyal?
Okay, so we actually, to borrow a term from my friend Ivan's repertoire, Ivan is our research, and he's talking about the 5-second user, the 5-minute users, and the 5-hour users. And the 5 seconds is the guy that just comes in and wants to get the quick metrics. And this would be probably someone from the DAO ecosystem or someone wanting to get into the DAO ecosystem. And then there's the 5-minute users who would go in and start going from one dashboard to another, from one DAO to another, and start understanding the governance ecosystem and the power structure in DAOs in a deeper way. And then you have the developers, the more advanced users, and these are the 5-hour users. And for them, we're building APIs that actually takes the data that we're doing and distills information from it, and also gives them more data. Not all the data is available on the site directly, so some of the data is given through APIs.
And that's an interesting point because you brought up the people that just want to look at data for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you have the more advanced people that can mess around with an API. But from a research perspective, and what I see a lot within our internal research team is that a lot of times it's incredibly hard to get data for our analysis, because ultimately what a lot of our analysts do is they grab data from a specific data source and they make a chart, and then they derive an insight from that chart. But a lot of the things that we have noticed is that you need to have certain capabilities, like some familiarity with APIs or programming language or SQL in the case of Dune. So do you guys foresee creating easier tools for this subset of your customers, people that are extremely intelligent when it comes to protocol mechanics and all that kind of stuff, but are not super technical to mess around with an API? Hey, y'all, you want to take that one first?
Sure. So actually, when you go to DeepDAO today, you see that that you can actually download everything in CSV. So you don't need to integrate with an API, and you guys have done that several times on our data. And this is consciously done. We're giving everyone the data that we currently have, and the researchers, the journalists, the investors, this is what they do. They get the data, and then actually they develop all sorts of insights from it that we didn't even think of. So that's what we do, and yeah, the APIs are for. We're assuming that people like you guys would want the API eventually. Because this is really where the real bulk of the data is.
Yeah, totally.
Same on our end. Same on our end. I mean, we're full API based. We don't really have any kind of platform, or, Messari does that way better than we could think about doing it. So we provide the APIs in the back end, and then smart people kind of use that API to integrate it into a customer facing platform, service, or whatever. We, power obviously Messari, but also platforms like the Ledger Live dashboards, like all of these kind of applications that are extremely helpful for the end user. But we just don't do that piece of the value chain. However, we do build in order to make our APIs easier to integrate. We've recently announced our SDK that was released this summer that is going to make hopefully all of the integrations much kind of smooth and light tech on the client side.
For me, it's pretty similar to what Eyal's saying. When we do provide like an API, and the API is mostly used by like platforms that just like directly print our data, like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap. And then actually, because Messari asked, we added CSV datasets that people are using to like get some charts and all that. But I think ultimately, it's mostly like usage driven through like the API in like other sites, or people going to our site to looking at the charts.
Yeah, totally. And another area I think that we're experiencing right now a lot more is this launch of like new chains. Like Ethereum was kind of dominating for a long time early this year, and then now you see a proliferation of new chains with their own sets of data. So how do you go about deciding or prioritizing which protocols or which chains to support in your respective data sets? Eyal, you want to take that one first?
Sure. So in our subject matter, Ethereum is still dominating, and most of the platforms for DAOs are still running on Ethereum. And so we've been adding one platform after another from Ethereum. And some platforms are running on XDAI, which is kind of very similar. And the substrate organizations exist for a while now, and we started adding them because, again, it's a large ecosystem, and it's kind of a different ecosystem than Ethereum. It's basically fast transactions, very low fee, and governance is built into any organization that you start. Like Kusama and Polkadot are DAOs themselves, and when you start all sorts of parachains, they are already DAOs with their own democracy and their own council, and sometimes other committees. So these are fascinating, different ecosystems. And then Near now has Sputnik DAO that has over 150 DAOs right now. So we're in conversation with them to add their DAOs. And there's DAOs on BSC now, although it hasn't yet caught up, not nearly as much as it has on Ethereum yet. But yeah, and again, each platform each chain is really doing it in a little bit of a different way. So again, the challenge is to normalize everything. Normalize everything while keeping, the actual character of each chain, so that these different experiments in governance are kept. They get the respect that they deserve, which they do actually.
Yeah, for us, it's really very brutal, driven by volume and client interest. So historically, we were covering mostly centralized exchanges just because that was where most of the kind of volume was being traded. We've added Uniswap, I think about a year ago when it really took off. And I remember this one big day where there was more volume traded on Uniswap than Coinbase. And so that was kind of a pivotal moment. We said, oh my God, we were too early and now we're too late. We need to rush and kind of onboard Uniswap. And honestly, it's an entirely different tech stack. Obviously, there's no Uniswap API well, there is one, but it's not great. And so we actually run our own Ethereum nodes and extract the Uniswap data directly from the blockchain itself. So, we've been adding since obviously V2, V3, we've added SushiSwap, and it's really driven by volume, client demand, and market activity. Very objective, data-driven.
That's a familiar feeling, Amber. Oh my God, we're too early. Oh no, we're too late. We have to rush. It's totally familiar feeling. We get it all the time.
For us, we're very driven by people making open source like pull requests into our product. So we just like list every chain, and the way we usually onboard a new chain is that some protocol, like a member of the community of the chain, just integrates into our product, and then all the people from that chain realize that, oh, hey, I can get this, like my protocols on DefiLlama. And then we start seeing like more people come in. So that's how it works for us, but yeah.
Got it. Yeah, we have about a minute and a half, so I want to give you guys some ample time to tell us about what are some of the exciting new things that you guys are working on, and something that us as researchers can be looking forward to. 0x and GMI, you want to take that one first?
Yeah, so I don't think we have like any specifically super interesting thing. It's just like at DefiLlama, it's very iterative. And so I'm just like shipping stuff every day, and it slowly builds into something, but we don't have like any big product release that I can hype up. It's just a lot of like, and like work, I guess.
Yeah, Ambre, go ahead.
Yeah. So on our end, we have actually plenty of stuff in the pipe. We have a lot of things that are going to be released in October, most of which I don't want to spoil it, but one of the big product releases from this summer is the launch of what we call our stream product, which is real-time consolidated feed, lower latency, SDK based connectivity, and all of that will basically, or is already available, and just enables better streaming, better data, faster data, and we're adding an increasing number of DeFi protocols to the coverage, which I believe nobody's able to provide kind of tick-by-tick trades for DeFi protocols today. So I would say those two are the biggest recent announcements.
Last but not least, Eyal.
So actually, we're releasing these days DAO participation score. So you'll be able to get the participation score of every Ethereum address, whether they're involved in DAOs and how recent has their involvement been, and what's the extent of this involvement. So it's our own identity service, sort of a proof of work API, which we're very excited about. And we're enhancing our people. Our people dashboard is just very much alpha, and we're adding a lot of features to it behind the scenes, including user-generated content, both for the people and for the communities. And we're also working on DAO resources. So you'll have a gateway to actually, how do you start a DAO? How do you manage a DAO? You'll be able to get that answer on DeepDAO.
Awesome. Well, we're a little bit over time, so I just want to wrap it up right now and just thank our panelists and thank everyone else for coming.
Thanks so much
Thanks,
for having
everyone.
us. Thanks.